Well, good evening.
Well, we're going to have to talk about something different than your title.
But we got to, I know. Before we get to that. I know we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the what is it, the 800-pound gorilla in the room?
The elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room.
There's another way of saying that.
Something along those lines. We're going to talk about it. But before we do that, we are going to tell you that we are brought this podcast is brought to you by ourselves.
What?
Yeah, our products.
Oh, yes.
So we've got popping corks for sale. This is the Rattler edition. It's got a 60-pound mono line there, and you can see how it's got the beads there at the bottom. We just started these, and they are very effective. They work really well. I'm not going to shake them on the line on air.
Can I shake them?
No, because they're very loud, and they will attract fish, but they will also blow your eardrums if you try to do that. So,
okay.
But anyway, so we got the Rattle edition.
Like a gentle shaker.
And then we've got the classic edition, which has the rod in the middle, and has these also feature cup tops, so it creates that splash. And I'm actually just starting to produce a third style where I'm gonna put beads inside of the ones with the metal. So that'll be. But all those are for sale in our store. You can check those out. And also our fishing rig holders are also for sale there in the store as well. So you can check those out and help us out. We do appreciate it. And so we are sponsoring ourselves, so to speak.
All right.
Yeah, this is a sponsored spot, and it's us.
It's us.
So, yeah. So, having said all of that, welcome to our live show. We have some things going on. Of course, if you are paying attention at all to the weather, let me bring this up here. If you're paying anything to the weather, you know that it is getting a little bit squirrely depending on where you are. And we are right on the border. If you know anything about where we fish, Sabine Lake, Sabine Pass, we are right on the border of Louisiana and Texas, and on the Texas side, and we've got a hurricane coming.
Can everyone else see us? My phone is giving me errors.
No, it's fine.
Chat?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about the greatest fishing games ever. And we'll still get to that. We're going to get to that. But yeah, the best fishing game, as Ben says right now, is how about guess where the hurricane's going?
Yeah, I told you that's what we have to talk about.
Because every time I look at the advisories, they keep changing, and I'm just not sure. And having not lived here for very long, having not experienced this, I don't know exactly what to do. So, and Ben also says if he doesn't chat much tonight, it's just because I'm reading my generator ops manual for the first time. Yeah, you want to make sure.
How's this go?
Yeah. Do make sure that your generators are all working and you're making the appropriate preparations, because if you are where we are looking at the potential of a hurricane impact. And so I thought we'd start with that and just talk a little bit about that to get things started off with, because that's, like I said, it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's what's on everybody's mind. And this is what I have. This is the 7 o'clock bulletin from the National Weather Service. This is where I get mine. When I'm checking out marine forecasting and stuff like that, I go right to the source, so to speak. I go right to the public advisory, and it says this is a 7 o'clock, so it just came out. It says a tropical storm warning has been issued for extreme southern Texas from Port Mansfield southward to the mouth of the Rio Grande. So pretty much the entire Texas coast is under the warning side of things. And the government of Mexico has also issued a tropical storm warning, and it talks a little about that. We are under the hurricane warning. A hurricane warning is in effect for the Louisiana coast from Sabine Pass. That's pretty close to where we are, the Sabine Pass, Sabine Lake area, eastward towards Morgan City. And there's all kinds of different watches and stuff. You can read all this. I'm not going to go through all this with you because it's kind of boring. But this is what I thought that I would, in case you are wondering about where we are, and if you're thinking about where we are, this is what we're looking at right now. It says at 7 p.m., the center of Tropical Storm Francine was located, and it gives the latitude and longitude. Francine is moving northward, northwest, near 7 miles per hour. So it is moving, but it's not moving as fast as I think we'd like it to. I think now it might speed up. They are talking about speeding up, so maybe it will. I'm not sure how that will work. But it says it's continued by a northwest motion is expected through this evening, followed by a turn in the northeast with some acceleration beginning Tuesday. On the forecast track, Francine is also anticipated to be just offshore of the coast of northeastern Mexico, southern Texas through Tuesday, and nearing Louisiana and the upper Texas coastline on Wednesday. So
It's
really,
going up the coast.
yeah, so really, if you are along the Texas coast, you are going to feel impacts from this because it's not going to be great fishing weather. I'll say it that way because the tides are going to be higher. You're going to get some storm surge. You're going to see some beach erosion as well. I know that we were down Crystal Beach just recently, and the dunes are completely gone already. So that all that water
flat.
is just going to come right in.
And all of the sand.
Oh yeah.
It's made it so that you can't get out to where we used to get out. The bars have changed.
The bars have changed, and that's
so
already.
Like I used to be able to walk to the bar. Now it just dips really low, really fast,
And so that's already been happening, and so now we're thinking that it's gonna make conditions even worse down there for a lot of the homeowners and stuff like that. And so it talks about this, but let me bring up and it says rainfall. Rainfall is apparently going to be somewhere between 4 to 8 inches with local amounts near 12. That's a lot of water. That's just a lot of water. And it talks about the storm surge as well. For us where we are, I'll bring it back up. For us where we are, it says a high mile and iron to Cameron, Louisiana. So that's kind of the range of where we would be, 3 to 5 feet. That's a wall of water. That's 5 foot of water coming off the. That's.
Is it gonna flood Bridge City again?
Could. So anyway, so that's what's going on here. That's what's going. Next advisor's out at 10 o'clock. So our prayers are for those that are in the things. And so here I bring up the wind speeds as well. You can see that. Right here on the Texas-Louisiana coast, you can see where the wind speeds are. Tropical forms, and this is currently, by the way. This is for the next 120 hours from 1 p.m. Monday to 1 p.m. Saturday, and you can see that cone where it's going. And so it's going to be just right along the coast. Padre Island's going to get it. All of this area is going to be feeling the effects. It's going to just devastate the entire beach line.
Once that comes into the Gulf, it's always scary.
Yeah.
Like, if they stay out, that's better.
Yeah, the entire Texas coast is going to feel effects from beach erosion and things like that. There's just not a chance of that not happening, I don't think, and that's going to really change things. Potential rainfall, we are somewhere, like I said, we're in this vicinity between Houston and Lake Charles, so we're talking maybe somewhere between 2 to 6, 2 to 5, depending on what it is. But this is a little bit old. This graphic's a little bit old. And then the other one I wanted to show you was the peak surge, and this is the one 3 to 5 feet. That's High Mile Island, that's Cameron. But if you see the bigger impacts are definitely going to be in Louisiana. The Louisiana coastline, 5 to 10 foot.
That's what they're predicting.
That's
but
what
what
they're
happens
predicting.
if it slows down and
If
then
it slows,
hits in?
yeah. When I looked at the cone, you can see the cone here, and the cone is putting, if it goes up the middle of the cone, we may not get very much where we are in this area, but Louisiana is definitely going to get the full, they're going to get it all there. So in any case, that's what we got going on. So if you're thinking about us, and here's another one, kind of shows you where the hurricane is, and we're right here on that border, in that border area. So and it looks like it's gonna, that's just projection, so we just don't know. But they say that it's going to make landfall most likely as a hurricane. So we shall see. It'll definitely affect things. It'll affect the beach, and it'll affect things like that. So we'll see what happens. If it does start hitting, and we are here now, if they put us under evacuation orders, we'll definitely get out. But if not, maybe I'll take some rides around and see what's going on out there. So that's the 500-pound gorilla, 800-pound gorilla, elephant in the room, whatever you want to call it. That's going on right now.
Where is Ben at? Is he on the Texas coast? If he's looking at his generator.
Yeah, if he's looking at his generator,
Texas
he might
coast,
be.
Louisiana coast. Maybe he lives near there somewhere.
Yeah, I thought maybe somewhere near San Antonio, but I'm not really sure.
Well, he could still get power outages.
Oh yeah, power outages for sure.
You know?
So that's what we got going on. But what we intended to talk about tonight was something completely different. And he's in H. Oh, you're in Houston. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, check your generator. I know. After the last little hurricane came by, or a little tropical storm, I changed the oil in mine. So Beryl rocked our world. Yeah, that was Beryl. Beryl was and that wasn't even that wasn't even a 1. Wasn't it just tropical storm?
I think it was just all the rain that kept swinging around.
Yeah, it was
The
crazy.
flooding. It was all the flooding.
It was All right, so tonight I thought we'd have just a little bit of fun. We always talk about fishing. We always talk about but sometimes, and I was thinking about the weather for this week, and I was thinking about fishing, and I was like, probably not going to be. And so, what do you do when you're not fishing?
You play fishing games?
You play fishing games.
You know, my son played this game that I bought him, and it was like bass fishing game. Oh, he hates it. He hates that thing. He's fishing along. He just gets so mad because he gets in this boat and he's supposed to go out and fish this tournament. And he catches all this fish and it's never enough. And he gets so
That's
mad
tournament fishing,
at
though.
that
That's
game.
tournament fishing.
Oh, man. He just wanted to throw it.
That's tournament fishing.
So
gets
I
frustrating.
think it was from the that big Bass Pro Shops game for the
Okay.
Nintendo Switch. Oh,
Yeah.
he was just mad.
Just mad.
He'd rather fish for real any day of the week than play that game.
Well,
so I don't know if you guys have.
I must admit, growing up, I have played a few fishing video games. There was only one I really enjoyed. I think it was like a marlin fishing game. It was on the old Nintendo systems. It didn't even
Okay.
make the list, but I played that one a little bit. But it's always kind of like, it just never took for me. Some people like them though,
I
and
haven't seen a lot of people play a lot of fishing games. I mean, some, but I think it's just because it vibrates and you're supposed to reel it, and it's so hard to
Yeah.
make it like the real thing. I
well,
guess.
let's see. It says face value. Here we go. This comes from where did I get this? Game Rant. That's where I got this from. Game Rant by Logan Sawyer. Now let's tell you what he says about this thing. Let me put this up here so you guys can see it. There we go. All right. He says, and Ben, before we get to this, Ben says, does the tournament fishing game allow the player to add lead weights to their catch?
Yeah, that's the problem, is that they're all
Yes.
cheating in the game. That's what Cohen says.
They're all cheating.
They're all cheating.
They're all cheating.
And I can't.
They're putting lead weights in them. I mean, that'd be realistic.
I know.
And that'd be realistic. The fish
It's just
cops
like he
come.
can never win.
Yeah, that'd be. All right, so face value, fishing may not be the most electrifying sport most people are clamming for. I take offense at that. I think it is electrifying, so I do take offense at that. And so, secret sports like football and basketball have more extensive fan bases. Again, I take offense at that.
Well, I don't know if I would say it's in a different type of sport entirely because
Yeah.
it doesn't use a ball.
Yeah.
It's different.
This
Most
is
sports
why
use balls.
few AAA fishing games exist, and Fishly is mainly used as a small feature in video games. That's not to say fishing can't be a rousing hobby that translates well into video games. So here's what they say, and then I'm not going to read all this to you, and some of these games I've never even heard of. So they said number 20 is called Sea of Thieves.
Sea of
Never
Thieves.
even heard of it. It looks like some sort of pirate. Doesn't it look like some
don't
sort
know.
If you've played any, by the way, if you've played any of these games, please let me know. I want to know. Because inquiring minds want to know. So Sea of Thieves would made but
If I get
people
Cohen,
didn't
if
like
I get
it.
my kid another fishing game for Christmas, he's gonna cry.
It says it's a pirate adventure, so I don't.
Well, I
don't know.
mean, maybe that would be fun, pirate.
And it says they provide ways of catching fish as a way to pass the time in the game. Okay, fishing resort. I have heard of this one. This was on the Wii.
I think it's for little kids.
Yeah, it's for little kids. But it said that it had like 216 fish species were part of Fishing Resort. So that was number 19. Far Cry 6. Now here's where, now, again, this may be nuanced. This isn't a fishing game. This is fishing in the game.
Yeah.
So there's a
I've
lot of games
seen-
that have fishing
yeah.
as part of the game, like something you could just do because
Yeah.
you want to.
So my kids also play Minecraft, and
And there's
whenever they
fishing.
need it, they go fishing.
Right.
And they like that because they're gathering resources,
Right.
And it still has the vibrations when you get a hit,
Yeah.
But it's not a fishing game.
So this Far Cry, I don't think that's a fishing game.
And so is the,
But
you
whatever.
scroll down to Zelda, it's the same thing going on. You have to fish.
Yeah,
you
Zelda's
know,
the same way.
You know,
Fishing.
inside there, but it's not.
It's not a fishing game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Ben, we'll get to that one. That one's actually on the list. When I played WoW, I maxed out fishing skills on Druid. Never did win the Sunday fishing tournament, though. Yeah, I'm a WoW player myself. Actually, we should exchange battle tags at some point. But in any case, and
What's a battle tag?
it's the Blizzard identification online. Anyway,
Oh, okay. You can
so
tell I'm
yeah,
not
so I still play.
a
I still
gamer.
play World of Warcraft. That's on the list. So We'll talk about that one. Ark survival evolved. Players have to fish to survive in an ark. So that's interesting. Like
Alright.
a survival game where you have to fish for survival.
Okay, he's cast netting.
Yeah, he's using a cast net. So, I mean,
Alright.
that's interesting.
Interesting.
But if you say critics rating, they ranked 13%.
Okay.
Nobody liked
So
it.
it's not fun. All right.
Pokemon, apparently there's a sword and a shield that you have to fish for certain water-type Pokemon. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see,
More
what else?
Pokemon.
There's a guy, and this was the World of Warcraft. And I do play World of Warcraft. I still play World of Warcraft right now. I'm playing a Paladin in the new expansion.
And how's the fishing?
The fishing is pretty boring.
Oh.
Like normally I fish when I was like waiting for a dungeon queue or a raid or something like that, and I just had something to do. The fishing though, you do get, you do make that resource into food items that give you buffs that help your
Right.
character get stronger.
But can you
so,
sit there and like normal fishing, you chat with the other person while you're both fishing there?
Yeah, I mean you can.
You can say, "Hi."
Yeah, like
what are
through
you doing?
Discord
What are
and
you
stuff.
catching?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you catching? What are you here for?
Well, yeah, but so I did do this one. Fishing is there, whatever.
Wow, did you know World
I
of Warcraft
did
was released in 2004?
Yeah, it turns 20 this year.
Wow.
Yeah, how crazy. But with World of Warcraft, I did play that one, and I actually had the special fishing pole that allows underwater breathing.
Still boring though?
It was by the Walrus people. I can't remember what they were called, but the Walrus people.
That's very unrealistic.
They were Walrus people.
Okay.
Okay. Continuing on, so we got World of Warcraft, we got Tales of Arise. Again, this is the same type of thing. That armor is just completely inappropriate for fishing.
Keep going.
So, yeah, it's just not going to
Keep
work
going.
here.
That's not a
But
fishing
critics did like this game. 99% recommendation. There you go. Tales of Arise.
That's
Never heard of it.
It's not
but
just a fishing game. It does other stuff.
it does other stuff. Yeah, it isn't much of a chore, and it can be fairly relaxing. This one looks horrible. If you are watching, if you're listening and not
goodness.
watching, this was
it in 1D?
Stardew Valley. It was highly rated though, very highly rated. Came out in 2016. It's called Stardew Valley, and it was on the Super Nintendo. It was
Because it's a super. That's why it looks so
but
old.
but it was like you
It's
see
a
this
Super
guy. It's
Nintendo.
like it's awesome.
He's all pixelated.
Back in
and
the
everything.
day, that was the way to do it. Sims 4. You can actually have a career in fishing. Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, that was pretty cool.
Can't even do that today.
Yeah. So
Barely
that
survive
basically
as a
you
fisherman.
you can actually have that as part of your. I guess I never played Sims. I don't know.
Unless you're Alaska doing those.
All right, so
fishing
now we get
games.
into the top 10. This is where we get into the serious fishing games.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Fishing Sim World Pro Tour. Nobody liked it,
Okay,
but it came out. It's still a PS4 and Xbox One, so it's still out there.
but it's old.
It says Fishing Sims World Pro Tour doesn't get everything quite right, but it's an excellent fishing game nonetheless.
Well, they're not remaking it. They're not doing the Xbox, X, and they're not doing PS5.
Yeah.
So they're definitely.
Apparently, you start out as an inexperienced angler, and you got to work your way up to the tournaments. Yeah, go figure. All right, the catch, carp and course.
I'm not catching carp. No, skip it.
Skip it. That's not for you. 2020, and it's only 4 years old. It just came out. Not too bad.
They have to catch the weight of their total bounty.
This game actually has multiplayer mode. Competitive fishing.
100 special
Yeah.
boss fish. Then they aren't all.
There's also
carp.
plenty of licensed equipment for an air of realism, and the graphics are surprisingly impressive.
Yeah, and
This one's called The Catch.
they didn't give a rating. Did
Carp
they?
and Course. See, they give it a rating? No, they did not give this one a rating, so I don't know how good it is.
Yeah.
The critics did not say.
Why is that fish upside down like it's dead?
I think it's dead. It's dead fish.
That's weird.
All right, so this one is Shamu 3. This is an actual, again, fishing game. It says that the fishing mechanics are incredibly basic. There's something strangely relaxing about fishing. And I don't know where, I guess these would be in some
Aliu and Neon.
Neo.
I guess it's like a
maybe Japanese.
Japanese place. places. Yeah.
Maybe Japanese, I don't know. But they say they like it. They say it's fun. And they said that it came out 2019. Nice change of pace, finding new spots to fish. So you actually you have to explore in this one to find the spots to fish. That's interesting. And so yeah, fishing North Atlantic. Now this one kind of. The North Atlantic is not a great place to fish because it's like that's where that show. Isn't that where like Wicked Tuna and all is up there?
Well, I mean, it's a different type of fishing entirely, right?
Yeah, it says it's fairly unique as it focuses on pretty much every aspect of commercial fishing.
Yeah, I was gonna say commercial fishing.
So yeah, I don't know who's like gonna play a game about commercial fishing.
Well, you gotta throw the lines over and bring it in, and I guess they
don't
didn't
know.
renew it though.
That's a very
Xbox One.
it came out in 2020. It says the game looks beautiful and runs perfectly. The simulation elements are well realized. There's even some more enjoyable activities. There are activities to keep players busy for hours on end. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that.
You go to sleep and you make food or something. I mean, what's happening
I
in
don't
here? If you're
know.
not fishing and
I
pulling up
don't know. I was like,
I
how are
don't
you going
know.
to fish on the North Atlantic? I was like, what are you doing? You're driving your boat around looking for tuna?
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
like, I don't know.
And you catch a big one, you bring it in.
You bring
then
it
what?
in.
I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who's buying these games, but apparently somebody is. All right, so here's one. Now this one's a classic. Sega Bass Fishing.
That's an old.
That's
game.
an old one. That's Sega Bass Fishing, and I do remember this one. And it came out. You could actually have it actually came bundled with a fishing rod. So it was a classic. Sega Fishing, Bass Fishing. I do remember that one for the Sega. And it says it here in the thing. The Sega Bass Fishing, which started life as an arcade game, came bundled with a fishing rod controller on the Dreamcast, and this allowed players to cast their lines with the flick of a wrist rather than the push of a button. So that was unique, and it was actually kind of fun. It was definitely arcade style though, so it wasn't really serious. But in any case, it was kind of fun. Animal Crossing.
How did that get number 5?
I don't know because again,
It's a kids game.
it's on the Switch, I guess, but it's
It's still like that's not just fishing. That's not.
no. This I think it's just part of that, but people like it. All right, 4. Now this one, I think this is the one Cohen played,
Okay.
wasn't it? Rapala Fishing.
It looks right. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was on the Xbox One, Switch, PS4. I think this is the one that he was playing was Rapala Fishing, and it says it's incredibly realistic. Which is why maybe he hated it so much.
I'll never win.
I can't win the tournaments. I don't have the right crankbaits.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, that's funny. It says even those with a passing interest in fishing will likely know all about Rapala lures already, which we do. For anyone who's unfamiliar, though, they are generally considered to be some of the very best in the world, and with that in mind, it's easy to see why a developer would be keen to attach the Rapala name to its fishing video game. Though perhaps not as revolutionary as Allures, which took its name, the Rapala fishing series looks great and really captures the nuances of fishing. The daily tournaments help keep things feeling fresh, while the option to use real-world weather conditions is also a nice touch for the genuine experience.
Yeah, the problem is everything is locked, so you only get certain lures, and then when you start off, if you don't win the tournaments, you don't get the better lures. So you never can advance, and it's just very frustrating. How do you win the tournaments? Well, we don't know.
No. Well, nobody knows how.
I even tried to play it with him.
Ben told you how to win the tournaments. Extra lead weights. You just got stuffed
I even
them
tried
in
to
the
do
fish's
it
mouth.
with him. He's like, hey, I know something about fishing. Let me help you. I couldn't win.
Couldn't catch fish?
I could catch fish, but I couldn't
Just not
catch
big enough?
enough weight to win. So
big
it's like the
fish.
total weight. So we're catching a bunch of fish, but when we go to weigh in, we always lose. So we don't unlock anything, so we can never win.
So that's probably pretty realistic.
It's like, why don't
probably
you give this
realistic.
game as a gift, honey, to someone else?
Plus somebody else with it. All right, here's number 3. Ready? Eurofishing. Eurofishing. It says it's a great game for beginners looking to learn. Came out in 2015.
Yeah, but you can barely buy it anymore, though.
Yeah, players can become master anglers by practicing this simulation game, learning all about lures, bait types.
We can get Kyle a fishing game.
Oh yes, he would
His
love
PC.
that. Yes, he would love that. It says there's lots of waiting while playing the game, meaning the anticipation can also be cut with a knife. That's what you want to do when you're playing a video game. You want to sit there and stare at it and wait for something to happen. That's what they're saying. There's a lot of waiting while playing the game.
You wait.
You you throw your line out and you wait. I mean, that's realistic.
Yeah, but is that
And you
what
just
you
sit
want
there,
in a game?
and you just sit there and you wait for something to happen.
Sit there for like 30 minutes. Before
Yeah,
you
just
get
waiting
hit?
for a bug. Yeah.
Maybe that's what our problem was.
I
Maybe
don't know.
Cohen didn't wait long enough while we were bass fishing.
And
Maybe keep moving around
the
because we figure we don't need to wait that long.
Yeah, the author of the article says Eurofishing missed the mark a little bit from an enjoyability standpoint.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Go fishing on the game.
But it
Just
says,
sit there and stare at the screen.
Love it or hate it, it's hard to deny that Eurofishing offers a more realistic experience than most other
I
fishing
think
games.
that's his one nice comment.
Yes, which
But it's realistic.
I think it's hilarious. I mean,
Look, it's a big catfish. So
It's a
as they
big
sit
catfish.
there, I bet he waited for a half hour.
You are sitting there. That's what's happening in this
Yeah,
game. I can
waiting.
almost see it. You are sitting there on the bank of a river, in your character, your character
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You're throwing out your catfish line, and you are waiting.
You're just waiting. Yeah.
And you are waiting,
Till you get the monster.
and you're gonna
catch.
wait for some more.
And then 15 minutes later, you're still
And
waiting.
and to have an extra realistic experience, you know what happens? This little kid comes wandering up, and it's like your son. He's like, "Can we go now?" Last cast.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Waiting on a game. Is so strange. I know you used to get mad when you're on WoW waiting for this little boat to come so you can get on this
yeah.
boat, and you're like, oh, the next one's not for like an
back
hour.
in the day, it was
Oh my
so
gosh.
bad because before, I'm gonna just.
It was just like, I'm like, you're sitting on a game waiting for a boat for an hour? It's not even a real boat. What are you doing? I
What am I doing with my life?
don't know.
Well, before you had like mounts and stuff, you had to run places, and it would take you 20 minutes to run to the next village. I mean, it was ridiculous. Anyway,
Well, Ben says you're
what
going
does
to
Ben
lose
say?
tackle.
He says a realistic game would have you lose tackle. Yes,
After 15 minutes, they're going to bite off your line
and
and
it
you have
gets
to
snagged.
start over.
Yeah, you know what, Ben? I was thinking about that when I was thinking about the video games, video game fishing, and I was like, you know what would be more realistic too, is if in the game you lost tackle and then you got a bill at your house for that tackle, like you actually lose money because you lost the tackle in the game.
What? No, nobody's sending you a bill. No, that's
that
so
would-
stupid. No.
that would be realistic.
Oh,
I mean, like
that's-
you have to go.
Nobody's
To,
gotta
you're
play
gonna have to
that
go to
game.
Walmart and get a refill on the tackle.
Oh, is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
You're playing WoW and you pay to play and then you get a bill because you lost
No,
money.
or you have to go and recharge your stuff. So
Nobody
you have to go
wants
there and you
the
have to
game
get the
to be
stuff.
that
and-
real.
I mean, that'd be realistic.
Oh,
As if you lost tackle in the game, then you had to go to the store and you had to buy more tokens or
Okay,
something.
but
so
it's a
that you
game.
can.
We want it to be fun, not real.
We want to penalize failure.
No, we don't want it to be.
We don't want to penalize failure.
That's the thing. We want to win.
All right. All right. Here's the next number two. Red Dead Redemption 2. I did not think of this as a fishing game per se, as much as fishing is in the game. This one came out in 2018, and it says it incorporates features outside of the main story of its game. It's free roam. I've never played Red Dead at all, so I don't know. But it says if you grab a fishing pole from the inventory, bait the rod, and cast in the body of water, you can fish and you take a break from the chaos of the main story. So anybody that has played, I mean, it's a popular game, I know, but Red Dead Redemption 2, apparently the fishing is part of that.
They should have just rated the ones that are all about fishing. That would be more fair.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like a cowboy fishing beside gators.
Yeah.
We just did that.
Well, it wasn't that big, but
No,
yeah.
it was not.
Like,
All right, number one, you ready?
should I be?
The number one, according to.
I've waited so long
Game
to
Rant.
hear this.
All right, well, here's the number one. I would say drum roll, but I don't want to. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. Fishing Planet. Planet.
Fishing Planet.
Fishing Planet. Incredibly immersive.
How come they
I've
didn't
never
even
heard of it.
rate the Bass Pro one?
Apparently, it just didn't make the list.
Ugh. Well, don't buy it.
Don't, but that one's bad too. Ugh. Or Cabela's. Doesn't Cabela's have one too?
Wait, it wasn't Cabela. It was not.
There's-
It was
yeah.
Cabela's.
Cabela's.
You're right. It was Cabela's.
Hands down, Fishing Planet is the most immersive and exciting fishing game on the market.
In 2015.
It says this list came out in 2024. The list this list was 2024.
Okay.
It says as close as the players will ever get to doing the real thing without leaving their own homes. Of course, this does bring with it one or two downsides, particularly for players who don't like waiting around.
More waiting in the game?
You don't have to make it that realistic, you know. Expect to grind levels in this game while catching an assortment of fish. The attention to detail is impressive, and to top things off, Fishing Planet is a free-to-play model that seems to work well. The game is widely available on platforms like Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, so there's no excuse not to check it out.
Okay, I'm gonna tell Cohen.
Fishing Planet.
Fishing Planet.
And I think in the picture, the guy's got a walleye. So, there you go.
Oh, Game Pass. We're
What
downloading
so
it.
here's a
Fishing
question
Planet.
for you: whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the replay later, what game didn't make the list? We already said
The
one.
Cabela's, I
the
think.
Cabela's one didn't make the list. That was kind of surprising. I
Yeah.
thought that one made the list. And I think also if you boil it down to and take out the games with fishing in them, like Fishing Planet obviously is a game that's all about fishing.
Centered around.
It's centered around fishing. But I don't know. So, like to hear if you guys know of any good fishing games or that. Like I said, I don't play fishing games. I do
just
play.
go fishing?
I just go fishing. I do play World of Warcraft as a fishing in it, but I have maxed out my fishing in there because I'm waiting for stuff to do. So
Well, you can wait for your boat
can wait for my boat.
wherever it's going.
That's generally what you do. You kind
Yeah.
of just sit there throwing it
there.
off the dock and just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Skyrim. That was one Ben I did think of. Yes, that's a good one.
Skyrim has
has fishing in it.
Oh.
I mean, Skyrim does have fishing in it.
The kids do
I was
play
surprised that
Skyrim.
one wasn't because if we're talking about these other games that have fishing in them, then
Yeah, why not that one?
then Skyrim should have made that list of ones that have it. Slot. I didn't even think of slot machines. Yeah, there are probably quite a few fishing themed slot machines too. I would think. Yeah. So there's probably plenty of them out there, but maybe this weekend while we are awaiting a hurricane.
You'll be playing fishing games? Fishing
Getting my-
Planet.
getting
We
my
can't
fix.
fish for real,
I can't
so we're
fish for
going to
real.
wait
So I'm
for
going
a fish to bite
I'm
on
gonna-
Fishing Planet.
You
This
know-
is what we're going to do. Wait, we don't have any power. How are we going to do that?
I have a generator.
Oh, yeah. So we'll have a generator,
I just
and then we're on our game.
the one that really got
Fishing.
me was that game that said that you're waiting. I mean, that really got me. Like I really wanted to play it just to see if they really do make you wait.
Well, make sure you have something else to watch, like football or something.
Yeah, like, I
because
mean-
you're going to be waiting.
And then what happens if you miss the bite? Oh,
It's
man.
just like that's the moment your wife walks in and says, "Oh, honey, I was thinking about." Oh, there was. Oh, dang it!
yeah.
Why?
I mean, like, why? That was my spot. Yeah. Yeah. I guess for also if it was ultra realistic, maybe the game warden would come by and measure stuff and then
And throw some back.
and
or-
throw some back and fine you, and you get a bill in the mail.
Yeah, but if you take cautionary measures, you won't have to get arrested by the game warden.
Oh yeah. All right.
If you're careful.
Well, we have one more thing that I thought we could talk about because we go on the Fishing and Hunting Discord server. If you don't know what that is, I'll put the link up there, the Premier Hunting and Fishing Discord server. And we talk about questions that people have regarding fishing and try to help people out. So if you want to help us out with this too, I'm sure it'll be appreciated. But we go on there and there's a link to the Discord server on your screen so that you can check out that. It's a good community of people that are helping each other out over there. So here is the question. Let me go ahead and bring it up here, courtesy of the Discord server. It says, let me share this tab instead. There we go. It says, Big Z. That's his name. Yo. Yo. Yo.
Okay, that's enough.
he says, let me make it a little bigger. There we go. Planning a fishing trip down to Padre Island. It's the closest place to the ocean from where I live. I'll probably stay a week. Does anyone have any experience fishing from the shore
Yes.
or jetties?
It's not good during a hurricane. Go
It's
back.
not good. Yeah, you don't
Go
want to do this
back.
on a hurricane. Likely gonna check out SPI again, which is South Padre Island again. Went there for vacation once, loved it. Then make my way up to Port Aransas. I'd like to catch a redfish or two, if possible, some decent-sized saltwater fish in general. There's a bit of a backstory now for my questions, okay? Anyone that has fished the area, what have you found that works best for big reds? Can range from just bait all the way to specific setups you use. Rod and reel and all. Okay, so that's his first thing is what setups are you, and he wants big reds, not small ones. Not slot reds. We're talking bull reds. Okay, so that's it. That's what he wants. Everybody does. Number 2, I'd like to get some insight on shark fishing. Okay, so number 3, any recommended combos, individual rods and reels? I have no saltwater rated gear. Okay, well, yeah, you're gonna want to handle that. And I don't want to ruin my freshwater gear, so I'll spend a bit on a surf setup and a lure setup or 2. Any additional gear you think I might need? I only fish freshwater my entire life except once, so I've got nothing. Do I need a gaff? No. No, you do not need a gaff. Let me just answer that right now. A net, perhaps, but not a gaff. Okay? With the exception of maybe if you're going for kingfish. But anyway, no, you don't need a gaff. That said, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a drum, gun, surf rod, or anything crazy like that. Please keep in mind that if you're going to send gear recommendations. So, yeah, so Ben's got some good things to say, and I'll put those up here on the screen and talk about this as well. So, Karen, what would you say? Backstory question can range from just bait. Let's start with baits. You're going for reds. What's your baits?
Well, if
Ben says jetties, gold spoon, mullet.
yeah, so my first question to him, well, I guess I can't ask him a question, but is he surf fishing?
He said that. Well, that's the thing is I don't think he even knows because he's talked about the jetties and he talked about surf fishing. So
I mean,
if you're going,
he's
two
not
different
going
things.
So if you're surf fishing, I'm not going to tell you to bring shrimp because that's not going to be your best bet because it's hard to keep them on your line, and that's surf.
If I'm telling a beginner, I'm just going to say cut bait.
So, cut bait's going to be great.
Cut bait,
on
cut
both.
mullet, live mullet, or cut mullet.
If you're at the jetties, that's going to be a different thing.
Gold spoons work.
Like you said, you can do spoons on jetties. Mm-hmm. You can go to artificials. But you can also, if you're on the jetties, you can also throw a really large shrimp or a live mullet and also get yourself a decent redfish as well. Yeah. So it depends on what you're wanting. You want to bring but the thing about the jetties is if you're walking pretty far, we don't tend to want to bring a lot of live bait with us. No. Like we bring spoons and stuff like that.
If I was going out on the jetties, I'm definitely going to say spoons. And cut bait.
We tried to limit how much we bring
because you got to bring the water. And it's just hard. It's heavy.
And if you're carrying a heavy, bait bucket that has an aerator, it gets too much.
And to our original poster, if you've never walked the South Padre Island jetties or the Port Aransas jetties, or even the Packery's not that bad. Packery's pretty easy, but it's also very crowded.
Yeah.
But those two especially, you're walking a good distance.
But he mentions
so you got to think about that with what you're taking out there.
He mentions SPI and he mentions Aransas Pass. Those two jetties
are
long. Granite rocks.
Yes.
And you're sometimes once you get past the
especially
concrete,
the South Padre Island ones.
You're hopping rock to rock if you're trying to get out deep, and no way should you be carrying a 5-gallon bucket full of mullet and shrimp. So bring, like you said, cut bait
or spoons.
That's already been maybe catch it the day before, get some fresh ones.
A Rapala X-Wrap can work as well. I would definitely say that's a possibility.
But go with lures if you're going jetties, and or cut bait.
Yeah, if you want to go easy mode on lures. Get yourself some paddle tails, jig heads. They work really well. And again, you're not going to get more than reds with those. You can get trout, you can get Spanish mackerel and stuff like that as well. So I know that you might be targeting reds, but if you use paddle tails, you can get other species with maybe a 1/4 ounce jig head or something like
Here's
that.
what you don't use. Here's what you don't use.
But what Ben says here is good. Jetties, gold spoon, or mullet. That's the simplest
thing. Here's what you don't use: dead shrimp.
Don't use dead shrimp.
Don't use old
Don't
dead
use
shrimp.
don't use dead shrimp.
Don't
use
use
squid.
anything stinky.
Yeah, don't use squid. I see people going out there with boxes of squid. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't do that.
If you want redfish, if you want something
Traveling
else,
fools. Yo, yo,
you're
yo.
gonna catch plenty of other
Good to
stuff.
see you guys.
But it stinks too much for the redfish.
Yeah,
so
don't use that.
don't
so-
use fish bites for
Let's see.
redfish. That's not
fish.
gonna catch
No,
them.
no, it's not gonna do it.
Shark fishing.
So
what
it
else does he
says
want?
shark fishing. Now you have to have a different setup for shark fishing in Texas. You have to be using circle hooks. You have to be using, I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I believe you have to be stainless steel. That it's whatever the material is has to be able to rust out. I can't remember off the top of my head. If somebody knows in the chat which hook you have to use, I know it's a circle hook that you have to use for shark fishing. You do, and if you're specifically targeting sharks, there is specific regulations for those. Make sure you're familiar with them. Don't just go shark fishing without knowing the right regulations. Not only do you damage the sharks unnecessarily, but it's also illegal. So
Also, if you're gonna shark fish, this is why maybe he mentions a gaff. Don't do it from the jetties, man.
No.
You're not gonna be able to bring it in. There's
Yeah,
too many
if
rocks.
you're
You
gonna have
can't
to do
get
that-
it close enough.
If you're gonna go shark fishing, you're gonna need to do that
gotta
from the
go
beach.
to the beach.
You're gonna have to do that from the beach.
So you can't just gaff the shark if you're.
No, don't
on-
gaff the fish because especially if it's a bull ride, you're gonna want
Yeah.
to put it back. If it's a shark, most of the time you're gonna put it back. So that's why gaff is just don't gaff fish that
Yeah.
you're not going to keep.
Yeah, but don't try to bring in a shark on the jetties. You need to be close enough to the beach to walk in.
And then getting into the equipment, Ben says a Daiwa BG 500 is a good entry level saltware. That is a good reel. They're not too expensive. I use pens because if they get salt water in them and they die, I don't shed too much tears with them.
Which just happened.
Which just happened. I use 12-foot surf rods from the surf. From the jetties, I use my inshore rods. I don't go very. You can get like 9 foot. I do have a 9-foot ugly stick that I do use also from the jetties. Not very expensive. You can get some pretty decent rods for. I mean, you can get a 7-foot rod, one of those All-Star series from Academy for $50. So they're not too expensive. So I would definitely say that's something you can get there. And putting back up the questions there, he says any recommended combos, individual reels and rods. So yeah, so the BG there, and then Ben also does say number 30 braid with 30 to 50 mono top shot. I run 20-pound braid for inshore fishing, but at the same time,
The surf fishing, we might have 30 on there.
yeah, I do actually for surf fishing. I think I got 50 because there's a lot more
if
tension.
It's
on it.
mono, yeah.
Yeah, well, even for braid, I use heavier braid for. But for my inshore rods, and the ones I even use on jetties will be 20 pound. And I have not had any issues with it. And I've brought in fish that are bigger than 20 pounds on them. So, and he doesn't see. But so your surf fishing setup is definitely going to be different in my mind than your jetty fishing. So you really need to make a determination on which one to do, because you're going to need different setups for different areas there. And get yourself a net that can actually reach, and especially on the jetties. One of the things, guys, I'm going to tell you this: I have a special net for jetty fishing because it extends out. I've got a long pole on it.
It's like a pool,
And
cleaner pool.
Yeah, and so it extends out like, I want to say it's like 7 foot, because those rocks are slippery. One of the things you did not talk about in this, I'm going to tell you this just as for free, and I'll put this up for Ben as well because this is important. And Traveling Fools, I think I said hey, but welcome to the live show. But Ben put up there's the saltwater fish catch rate techniques for sharks. That's important. Because we don't want to damage the sharks unnecessarily if we don't have to. We want to be able to put them back, especially if you're not going to keep the fish. One of the things you did not talk about to the poster who posted this question, one of the things you didn't talk about that I do want to make a very important point on with the jetties, your footwear. Your footwear matters on the jetties. Those rocks are slippery. I've seen so many people bust themselves because they had, and you've busted. I mean, it happens to even those that are prepared for it. You hurt your
jetties,
hand.
but I've seen people in flip flops and it's ridiculous.
Just you got to have good footwear when you're going out there. Understand the rocks. Understand how that they can be slippery. If they have, especially if they have water on them or algae on them, they can be very, very slippery and very, very dangerous. So you really want to be careful. I have seen people wear what Ben is saying here, cleats steel cleats so they can get good grip. I've got some good sandals that have some strapped on sandals that work. Don't use Crocs. They don't work on the rocks. They just won't. Stanley Ocher goes barefoot, and I say more power to him. That dude is brave as anything. I won't go barefoot, but I know he does.
There are things you can step on, but honestly, your bare feet are going to have better grip than a slippery, a slippery shoe.
Yeah, but do keep in mind your footwear because it really does matter. And a good sandal that straps on.
If you're wade
cleats, something
fishing,
like that.
your footwear matters too.
That's
Remember,
true.
there are certain species that come up and you step on them and it's no good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever stepped on a stingray, but if you have, you will always wear boots while wade
and
fishing after that.
There's another piece I'd give you. You didn't talk about this in your post either, but you were talking about you're concerned about your fishing steps and all that. But have yourself a good pair of pliers, because you're gonna need pliers to get hooks out most likely. A good knife as well, to cut line and things like that, and to deal with cut bait. And those are some things that you definitely. And we do have some videos on jetty fishing, things that we take jetty fishing every time we go jetty fishing. So I'll put a link to that if I can remember to do so.
But nowadays we do jetty fishing from our boat.
Yes, now we do jetty fishing a little bit differently because we have a boat. We can do it differently. But in any case, for those, so hopefully that helps a little bit with what you're going to do with this. But I think that there's some tips there. And hopefully you're getting some good reds or some good Spanish mackerel can be around there, sheep's head, trout. There's tons of species. Mangrove snapper are really good. They're all over. I caught my first snook at the South Padre Island jetties. So there's plenty of good catches around these jetties. A lot of structure. Take extra tackle with you because most likely
You'll lose it.
you're going to lose tackle because there are rocks, and the rocks generally extend out from the jetties.
And watch out for
Quite a
those
ways.
turtles. They're everywhere.
Yeah, there's turtles everywhere, stingrays, all that
That's
kind
the
of
only
stuff.
problem with fishing with shrimp if you do, because there's those turtles are everywhere.
Yeah, but you will lose tackle. You will lose spoons. Don't just take one. Take several, and have yourself a good time. And if you are going, that's a good. Lake Ratatouille. Welcome to the channel. Glad you're here. Glad you joined us tonight. Reds of November. Yeah, it's starting to be that time of year where the reds in the surf become hot. My biggest one.
October, November.
Was in October.
Yeah.
So it's about time for the surf to really start lighting up here. So we're looking forward to that.
As
if
long
the
as
hurricanes
the hurricane, the hurricane that's heading right towards us.
Yeah. So if the hurricane stays away, this is definitely a time here. Ben says turtles make for a great fight on light tackle. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
I had to bring one in one time.
yeah.
I could not get the hook out of his shell, and he was so mad about it that he wouldn't stay still till. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a whole ordeal.
Yeah, I just let him keep the hook. You know, and just cut the.
But and the other thing that watch one of the things that you can do, and I'm talking to the original poster here on the Discord server, Big Z. But one of the things that you can do, plenty of us have put out plenty of videos jetty fishing and teaching how to jetty fish and what we do. That's one of the points of our channel. Stanley Ocher puts out a lot on jetty fishing as well in this area, and there are others as well. But those are our channel and Stanley Ocher's. I would definitely recommend to you and say, hey, check those out because we put a lot of information on there on how to jetty fish and how to do it effectively, and the baits that we're using, the time of year that we're doing it, the type of rigs that we're using. I use popping corks a lot of times at the jetties. Popping corks work really, really well. And we show you how to set all those up. So there's plenty of resources out there to get out there and have a successful trip when you do. Check weather conditions too, because the weather conditions can change as we are finding out.
Yes.
All right.
We're going to get our 10 o'clock advisory and see if we'll be evacuating.
Yeah, so we will be getting our 10 o'clock advisory on Hurricane Francine. As we are watching the cone there, and again, we are right in this area, right just east of Houston, right almost to the Louisiana border, right here on the coast, and so we are watching this very, very specifically to see where it will go, and hopefully it will. I mean, I don't want to. It sounds terrible to say. I hope it goes a little further east because Louisiana will get hit, but they're going to get hit anyway. So if you're in Louisiana, you should definitely be preparing for this. If you're in Louisiana,
All right,
this is your
I'm
definitely.
cheering for Mississippi.
But if you're on Louisiana coast tonight, you definitely need to be making preparations because it's definitely going to hit you, and it's going to hit hard and it's going to knock out a lot of power for probably for days. So be prepared for that. All right. Having said all that, hopefully you have a great rest of the week. Hopefully you are making some awesome plans for this weekend. We are not making plans for this weekend because we don't know what will happen.
I was gonna cook me up that flounder you
I know.
caught.
Yeah, I got my personal best flounder. And actually I didn't even put up a picture of it. I should have put up a picture of it. Actually I can put up a picture of it. Here, for those of you that stuck around to the end of the stream, you get to see it. There you go. That's my personal.
There you go.
Let me make it a little bigger here. There's my personal best flounder right there. 19 inches on a go. So that was kind of cool. And thank you for that, Lake Ratatouille. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for thinking of us and keeping those that are in the storm's path in prayer, because there is going to be some life-threatening situations for those in some areas. So as we think about that, but yeah. And thank you, Traveling Fools. Yeah, you guys as well. You guys are in Florida a lot, I think. So you guys stick out a little bit more than us, but somehow we managed to get them too. So it's good. And then Ben says a few songs that mention Francine, ZZ Top. Yeah, a classic rock track that Ben sings about a girl named Francine.
Is that how they got the name?
And then there's Dear Francine, he says, from Dwayne Haggins. And then there is Les Millet. You want to try it?
That looks French.
That's a French. The song mentions Francine, among other names and nostalgic content.
I mean, if it's Spanish, I would say Les Millet Paillettes.
Yeah, something like that.
But I don't know. It looks French to me.
Looks French, probably French. All right. Well, you guys have a great one. We're going to go ahead and sign off here. And hopefully we will have a live stream next Monday. And we'll let you know what happened with the hurricane. So
if we're still standing.
If we're still here, we will do. So y'all take care. Have fun this weekend. Go out and have an adventure on us because we won't be having one that's on the water. So go out there and catch some fish. So until next time.
May the fish be with you.
We'll catch y'all later.